evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Marla Billinghurst. I'll be chairing the panel this evening. To my left is Ms. Diane Knight, and to my far left is Ms. Tracy Anderson. The assessor for this evening is Ms. Svetlana Shabel, and our recording secretary is Ms. Kelsey Harrison. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And may I please ask everyone to turn off their cell phones. The first matter on this evening's docket is, there's no address, so it is the property with the roll number ending in 2755.
Do you swear in or affirm? Could you please state your name?
Svetlana Shabel.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please state your name?
Marcelo Navarro.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Shayla, please proceed when you're ready.
File number 19-2585, roll number 03093002755, owner Hopewell Bishop Grant Development, Inc. We are valuing the property as it stands on January 1st, 2020, and based on economic condition of April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value, classification of property, and liability to taxation. The subject property is located on southwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On page 6, my brief, you can see subject location map, subject size, and photos, air photos. The subject size has rectangle shape of 167,891 square feet. Property has zoning commercial mixed use. Please look on page 8. Commercial mixed use. This district intends to provide for community service mixed use development at high scale that is appropriate for neighborhood location. The commercial mixed use district intends to use along select corridors in an important nodes in city. The district intends to include commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facility needed to support surrounding neighborhood and the community at large. Although the area size of building should have a predominantly commercial character, a multifamily housing may be incorporated with the street, and development should facilitate pedestrian connection between residential and non-residential use. On page 3, I did present the 5 land sale comparables. Subject property is assessed at $16.50 per square foot, which is supported by my comparables. First mark of my comparables on page 4. Red dot is our subject property around. So in my case, closest comparables, it's Kenonston and Pembina. So my 4 comparables and 5 feet comparables closer to the subject property. All subject property is vacant land. I presented residential multifamily. My first 2 comparables on McGillivray and Pembina Highway sell between $32 and $21. Commercial, third, 4 and 5 on Sterling Parkway, Kenonston and Pembina, and sale between $28 to $67 per square foot. I would like to mention that our subject property assessed at $16.50. And it's reasonable. On page 9, a shape of my comparables. First comparables on Pembina was 2018 for $13.79. It's around 160,000 square feet. Second comparables on McGillivray Boulevard, it's around 470,000 square feet. A regular shape was sold in 2017 for $20.82. On page 10, another comparable on Sterling Lion Parkway, in regular shape of 136,000 square feet, sale in 2015 for $28.72. On Kenonston Boulevard, irregular shape of parcel was sold at size of 87,000 square feet around, sale in 2016 for $28.62. In my last comparables on Pembina Highway, sale in 2016 for $26.04. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $2,771,000. In that, the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions for me?
Yes, I do. The first question is your comparables. Can you tell me which ones have access and egress?
Could you repeat questions?
Do all of your comparables have proper access and egress?
Egress. Let's look. First comparables has access from 2 streets. Second comparables. Yes. Yeah, all my comparables close to road.
Okay. Now, how many access points would you say that the subject has off of Bishop Grandin or any other point?
Subject property on page 2, we can see road.
Correct.
It has access from, 1 second, New Market Boulevard and Ballantrade Drive.
Are you aware of any other access points?
On my page number 2, we can see 2 roads
Okay.
by perimeter.
Okay. Regarding comparables 1 and 2, these are zoned residential multifamily large, correct?
Correct. I was looking for bigger size of properties.
Can you build residential multifamily here?
Yes, please open page 8 and my zoning commercial mixed use. You can put multifamily housing, maybe incorporate with the district. Yeah, you can build.
And where did you get this from?
It's from PPND.
The zoning policy?
Yes.
Are you aware that there's a secondary plan on this development?
No, not I know about.
And your comparables 3 and 4 have C4 zoning, which is regional zoning. So this would be for larger scale developments with higher density, including your shopping malls. Does this compare to our subject?
On page, it's Sterling and Kennelston Boulevard. You can look on map as page 4. Gavin Kennelston. Yeah, it's regional, correct.
Okay, but what I'm asking you is, can you build to the same density as you can in C4 zoned land?
It has different, it's mixed use. It's not C4 use. My comparables, I try to find commercial comparables close to subject property.
Okay.
And subject property allowed for multifamily
Okay.
buildings that I provide to first
That
comparables.
said, your C4 comparables allow for great density because, again, this is reserved for regional centers.
Correct.
Okay. So the only comparable that I see here is C2. Comparable number 5 is much smaller. How do you think that the size affects the value here?
Yeah, that's why it's $67.
Okay.
And we are saying only $16.50. It's reasonable.
Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
You asked my questions, so there we go. Thank you.
I have no questions, so please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. I'll ask you to turn to page 3 of the report. And this is an overhead view of the subject. On page 2, you can see a close-up of it.
Sorry, Mr. Navarro, sorry to interrupt. I note that you are appealing liability taxation, amount of assessed value on classification of property.
We asked that liability and classification be confirmed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so just come on to it.
Okay, thank you very much.
So would that be withdrawing?
Oh,
Yes.
not withdraw, confirm.
No.
Confirm. Yeah. Withdraw is different.
Yes.
So we'll ask that the liability and classification
Just be confirmed?
confirmed.
Okay, no, I just wanted to
Yeah.
clarify.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just make a note of that for 1 minute before you start then.
You're proceeding on assessed value only?
Yes.
Okay, please go ahead, sorry.
So on page 3, you can see the overhead. The access is through Bishop Grandin going west. There currently is no other access point at this point in time. There is an access point that is being constructed. However, it's not going to be done anytime soon. It is off of Waverly, and again, I can't tell you exactly at that point at which point this will be ready. There is a small road off of Chevrolet. However, this is what I would call a service road. So it's mainly for access of work vehicles, trucks, that type of thing, not proper access. So the only way that you can access this at this point is traveling west on Bishop Brandon. If you want to get into it, you're going to have to drive around, get onto Pembina, take the loop, and then come back west on Bishop Brandon. Or you can try going through the muddy road on Chevrolet Road. So there are plans to actually have an access road from behind the Waverly Auto Mall. But at this point, that access is not there. Commercial mixed use, 3.9 acres. Services are in. Grading is still continuing. If you look over to page 4, in terms of highest and best use, highest and best use is not really an issue in this case. This is commercially zoned land, so commercial mixed use, and that is indicated here in the map. The urban mixed use area, which you see to the right of the what I would call reddish orange color, with mixed use commercial. So the area that's directly east of that, called urban mixed use, that is the area that is planned for residential development. So when I say that there's a secondary plan in place, this has already been outlined as to what will go into what. So the top areas will include mixed use employment, that is mainly mixed use industrial. Below that, you'll have mixed use commercial, so that is a mixture of different types of low density commercial uses. And to the right of that, you'll have some park area and some residential areas that are in the beige areas. Now, one thing that I'll tell you about this development is that it is essentially at its beginning point. It has no areas built up around it. What is around it is essentially old industrial areas. There is the Waverly Auto Mall directly adjacent to it. But in terms of residential, there really isn't anything built up at this point. There is a single apartment building in the urban mixed use area, which is the beige area. That building has been completed. I don't know in terms of the lease up, how much of it is actually leased up at this point, but it is complete, and it is essentially the sole building that is complete in this entire development area. On page 5, you can see the sales that I've chosen. We have an average of 1344. In terms of the ones that I would not favor, it's probably Templeton. Templeton is in the north side of the city, but in terms of recent sales, that is the most recent one on the commercial side that we had looked at. Now we've adjusted the rate downward to 1325. That gives us a value of $2,250,963. One of the things that I can also mention about this site is that it had a lot of contamination in it. That is what has delayed a lot of the work in this development. So the development essentially started in late 2014. It has progressed very slowly, and the main reason for that is the amount of contamination that existed on this site, and still does exist to some extent. This used to be the old sugar beet plants, lands. So a lot of the waste from that was actually dumped on this site. If you turn to page 8, you can see index 1. By index 1, I mean the first sale that I used in my chart. Index 2 is on page 9. Index 3, page 10. Index 4, page 11. And index 5, page 12. Now, what I can tell you about the first 4 indices is that essentially they are in what are developed areas. You can see on page 9 in index 2, to the very right of it, you have residential areas. If you look at index 3, you can see the commercial areas there and all of the residential areas around it already built up. On index 4, you can again see the commercial area with the residential areas around it already built up. Now, our subject doesn't have that. So that is one of the reasons that we adjust the rate downward. That is my presentation. I'm open to questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Shavel?
Thank you, Kibata. Please open page 5 for the agent brief. And now page 2, my rebuttal. So we have 5 comparables. I plotted it on our Google map. So closest will be Sterling Line, Parkway, Northwood Road, and Road Dot. It's our subject properties.
Wait a second. You're introducing new evidence now. These are new comparables.
It's comparables 3 and 4 have second sale. Agent has sale in 2014, but was another sale in 2015. Same property, and pay subject 4, index 4 has second sale in 2015. I would like to mention that reference.
Are these the same? Some of the.
It's same properties that I was put 3A, 3B.
You have the index numbers on these?
Yeah, on top. Sale comparables.
650066.
No, I'm talking about, sorry, the instrument numbers.
Yes, I have instrument numbers down. It's a second line. On bottom we have sale price, we have instrument number.
Okay, sorry. Proceed.
So on page, okay, let's stay on page 3. So we have a reference date, April 1st, 2018. Is it true that sale market land sale change from 2014 to 2018? It's correct?
Where is this sale that you're looking at?
Your comparables, you presented sale 2014. For comparables, you sell in 2014. We have reference date, April 2018. Is it true that market land sale change over 4 years? So all your comparables have to be adjusted upward for time, correct?
So Ms. Shabel, you're looking at 3A and 3B. I'm looking at rows 3A and 3B.
Okay.
That is the same land, C2,
Yes,
2014, 2015.
correct.
Okay. 11/03/2014, 06/2017, 2015. That went from $13.79 to $38.92.
Yeah, it's our record show.
I'm sorry, but no, I would not
And
agree with that.
you can see instrument number.
I would have to look more to see what's with this sale, because $38.92 is not, is there something else included in the sale?
No, it's a vacant land.
At $38.92.
Correct.
That's almost $20 more than what you have it assessed for.
It's my point. And you
I'm
can
sorry.
look on page on sale number 4, index 4, sale in 2015 came across $17.22. It's best support of our assessment.
$17.22 would probably be in line with what's happening there.
Yeah, it's very well
But
support our.
what I would say is, again, Bridgewater is slightly different than the subdivision that we're looking at.
And plus, we have to adjust for 4 years upwards for time, correct?
Correct, but again, are you taking into account those other factors that we're also talking about? The lack of access, the lack of egress, the fact that we don't have any built-up areas around our subject. We're not talking about lands that had any type of contamination on them. I assume that these are former farmlands that were converted.
On page 4, your first comparable. It's close to subject property, but should adjust upward for 4 years for time. On page 5, another comparable
Sorry,
number
Ms.
2.
Shavel?
Mhm.
I think we're a little bit lost right now. So are you finished presenting your rebuttal, or are you telling us about your rebuttal? Where are you? Because I don't know what
Okay,
page 4 you're referring
we
to.
was on first page about tables.
Yes.
Now I have information about, but it's support, because it's zoning.
We're just not sure whose brief you're referring to on page, where are you?
I'm right now on page number 4. We're looking.
And you're in your rebuttal evidence now?
Yes.
Okay. So you can present your rebuttal evidence, and then we'll get back to questioning, okay?
Okay.
So do you have anything further to present in your rebuttal evidence?
Because in my rebuttal evidence I have photo made in 2014 for first index. It's no real, we have same type of access with subject property.
Okay.
It's same zoning type, but it's 4 years. Sold in 2014. We look for 2018. On page number 5, second index. It's a regular shape of property. It's manufacturing, usually manufacturing land sale for less, the subject, the commercial. On page number 6, index 3, it has a similar road as subject property, and plus number 3 has another sale in 2015 for much higher. On page 7, comparables number 4, commercial, very similar to subject property, and has extra sale in 2015 for $70.22. It's very well support our assessed value. assessed rent in last comparables on Templeton in 2014, but it's far away from subject property, is not considered to become good comparables. No questions.
Okay. So do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro about any further questions?
No.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro about his evidence? And then we'll get to questions about the rebuttal once we finish with the applicant.
I don't believe I have any questions at this time.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Ms. Knight?
No, but I will have a
Okay. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions for Ms. Shabo about the rebuttal evidence?
Yes. Do you have any paired sales here?
Hmm?
Do you have any paired sales? Paired sales?
No, I was working on your comparables.
No, but do you have any paired sales? Because you did make some commentary regarding the increase of land prices. So do you have any paired sales to suggest that the prices have increased by X amount? No. Now, your columns 2, 3A, 4A, 5, I mean, these are, again, my sales. I don't understand what the relevance is here, but I mean, they're showing figures of 1380, 1379, 1379, 1088, 1722. I don't even know where that is. This appears to be a new sale. Is this a new sale?
It's new sale in 2015.
Okay, but this wasn't in your evidence.
But your comparables.
I
You picked
understand.
2014 sale, but you have current sale
I
2015.
understand that, but I don't
How
have
are you
any.
picking?
I don't have any properties in my comparables that are even of that size. So I don't know what you're referring to. I'll leave it at that.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions?
Kind of further to that, so just so that I understand, so in 3A is a representation of a 2014 sale,
Mhm.
and 3B is a representation of a 2015 sale
Yes, correct.
of the same property.
Same property, yes.
And the same for 4A and 4B.
Mhm.
Okay, so then what happened in 4A when it says there is 242,851 square feet, and then in 4B, it's 435,573 square feet. So I'm just not marrying these numbers very well. So what, did 400 North Town Road
Yeah, it's
usurp extra land, and that's what changed the value for the sale, or?
Yes, it
what-
was replot, it was added extra land to this row number.
There was extra land added.
Mhm.
So there, and this is maybe my naivete speaking here, but the instrument number for 3B and for 4B are the
Oh.
same. Is that normal?
Yeah, it's not normal, I did mistake something here. Yeah, it's not normal.
Okay,
I usually, yeah, I did quick copy paste, yeah, it's wrong something here.
okay. And so I find that there's enough errors here that it causes confusion. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Knight.
Well, we were both equally confused, so there's the same questions. I just
Yeah.
circled inside and went, whoa, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
You're trying to
Yeah,
say that the
I did
sale
mistake
happened, but
that
it's all
because it's in our
mumbling
records,
juice.
we have second sale,
Yeah.
but I confused with numbers when I copy paste. Sorry about it.
Okay. Thank you very much. No need for summary from either party? No? Okay, thank you. next property is 3483 Pembina Highway.
File number 19-4247. Roll number 0303144910. Address Pembina Highway. Owner Federation Cooperative Limited. Before I started, let's look on my recommendation. His premise, his roll number was cancelled and create a new in July 31, 2019, another roll number for 3477 Pembina Highway. It's new PID number 30930034005. It's vacant land, there are no appeal. If you make some decision, it's no role inactive, you cannot apply anything anymore. You have new roll number. And we issued a new notes of assessment notes in July 31, 2019.
Is that your whole presentation?
Yeah, should I proceed? Do you need to see new roll number? And this roll number was not appeal. We sent this information July 31st, 2019.
Okay,
No,
you know what
we
I'm
sent earlier, June 3rd, 2019, sorry. Would you like to see documents?
You know what, I think we're going to take a 5-minute recess and review this, okay? Okay, we have met and reviewed this issue, and we are going to adjourn this matter, and then it can be worked out administratively. So the matter will be adjourned. So we're going to move on to the next matter on the docket, which is 912 Archibald Street. Please proceed when you're ready.
File number 19-4219, roll number 06093464780912 Archibald Street, owner Nyakwa Development Limited. We are valuing the property as a start of January 1st, 2020, based on economic condition April 1st, 2019. This appeal with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Please open page 7. We are valuing the property as it stands on January 1st, 2020. In 2017, start development of 4-story apartment building. It was finished effective September 17, 2019. We will be update our records and provide new assessed value. For 2020, it started 2019 already.
Thank you very much. Mr. Roy,
I think we may have to go through another process like the one we just went through. So I treated this as land. I know that there is an apartment building there. However, I'm under the understanding that it is not fully leased up. It is not even 50% leased up. So my understanding was that it can't be added to the assessment roll until it reaches a point that there is enough leases in place to actually add it to the assessment roll as an apartment building. So until such time as that point is reached, it is treated as raw land.
Well, currently it's on the docket as vacant commercial.
Yes.
Yes, so
Yeah.
proceeding with it as, at the 568 as vacant commercial then, right now?
Based on evidence in this report, is assessor opinions that market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, 568,000, and should be confirmed. On page 5 and 6, we can see subject location map, and the subject site located northeast of portion of city of Winnipeg. It's located east side of Archibald Street. Regular shape, it has regular shape of site and land, 33,111 square feet. It's commercial vacant land, C2 commercial. On page 3, I did presented 6 comparables for subject property in the map below table. Closest comparable to subject property 4498 Mary Road. It was sold in 2016 for $39.05. It's 10,000, just roughly 10,000 square feet. Our subject property assessed on 34,000 square feet at $17.50. I have comparables. First comparables on Pembina was sold in 2016. Very close to subject size, 29,000 square feet, was sold for $67.04. Same zoning. Comparables number 2 and Portridge, similar size, just slightly less, was sold in 2016 for $43.96. My comparables free, I talk about 10,000 square feet, $30.05 in 2016. Comparables on Caridon, roughly 10,000 square feet was sold in 2016 for $78.24. Comparable on Cannonston, bigger than subject size, 87,000 square feet, sold in 2016 for $28.62. And my 6 comparables on University Crossing was sale in 2016 for $49.10. On page 8, we have commercial community. It is district intent to accommodate more intensive commercial sites. They do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. The district intend to include attractive commercial, institutional, recreation and service facilities needed to support the surrounding neighborhood and broader community. On page 9 through 11, my comparables. On Penguin, rhombus shape, $67 on portage, rectangle shape for $43.96. On page 10 on St. Mary, rectangle shape for $39.05. On Caridon for $78. On page 11, irregular shape of land was sold in 2016 for $28.62. University Crossing was sold in 2016 $49.10. Based of my subject property is assessed at $17.50, which is supported by my sale comparables. So based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion to the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2019, $568,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed.
Thank you very much. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yes. Your comparable number 1 is on the corner of Bison Drive and Pembina Highway, correct?
Correct. You can see on map.
Was this the former Dairy Queen that was on there?
It was sale vacant land.
It didn't include a building?
No.
It didn't include the parcel beside it?
No.
Is the current development include the parcel beside it?
Current development construction started in 2019.
But can you tell me whether it includes both those parcels, the parcel that is right on the corner and the one that you outlined in red?
It's in red. It was sold in 2016.
I guess what I'm trying to allude to, Ms. Trable, is that if the property owner had purchased the parcel, the parcel right on the corner, would there not have been any motivation to purchase the one beside if they're trying to assemble it?
It's assumption.
Okay. And Ms. Shable, can you tell me if any of your comparables were former gas stations?
I'm not aware about it. It's vacant land sale.
So you didn't check whether there was any gas
No,
station?
it's just like a vacant land sale.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
Can you tell me how it is you arrived at that net rate of 17.15 when your comparables are all well above that?
This was generated by our mass model.
Oh, I see.
It's an account for wholesale for whole Winnipeg city.
Okay.
Wholesale,
And
vacant land sale.
so it's model driven, this number is model driven, then
Yes.
is there any, were you able to make any changes to the model or add anything in for its location? Because I don't find that any of these comparables are actually comparable. So I was just wondering if you were able to make some adjustments in order to get to this number that we're getting.
No, it's model driven.
Okay, thank you, that's it for me.
Ms. Knight, any questions?
We are one line today.
My question today.
Okay, well, there you go.
It's scary.
And I have no questions. So Mr. Navarro, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay. On page 2, you can see the property. There's some pictures there. One is a corner view from Elizabeth facing north on Archibald. That is the former site. The site used to contain a gas station. On page 3, you can see the overhead. It's right on the corner of Elizabeth Road and Archibald. It also backed onto the railway corridor beside it. Under the property description, you can see that it's zone C2. And again, in 2011, the former owner, Imperial Oil, excavated the site, removed 13,249 tons of soil and backfilled with imported soil. As a report as of May 12th deemed the site to be fit for commercial purposes, although residual contamination still did exist on the western, possibly northern part of the boundary. And again, that problem of contamination exists with most properties that have gas stations on them. If you see the comparables on page 7, I've chosen a set of comparables here ranging from $63 right down to $10.90. Of note, 15198 Roblin Boulevard was also a former gas station. The rate that I've given the property is $11 per square foot, giving me a value of $364,221. Again, this property sold, I believe, in 2014 for $350,000. Part of the issue with this property is, of course, the location on a former gas station, plus the railway corridor influence. The railway corridor influence created a bit of an issue. However, that's not why I adjusted the value. If you look at Appendix 1, these are comparables. So Index 1 refers to the first sale. It's on Academy. Index 2. And you'll see that some of these properties already have buildings on them, meaning that they've already been developed. There is no delay in many of these because, again, they don't have the issues that the property had, the subject property had. Index 3 is on Broadway. Index 4 is Osborne, kind of close to Confusion Corner. Index 5, Corridon Avenue. I believe Index 6 is also Corridon Avenue. Index 7 is Henderson Highway, and Index 8 is Roblin Boulevard. Now, in terms of their comparisons, obviously they're in different areas, but in terms of exposure, traffic flow, they're very similar situations. Some areas are better than others. I would say that Corridon obviously is probably better than Archibald. I have nothing against Archibald. And then Roblin Boulevard, again, a former gas station. That is the reason that we went with the lower end of the scale. I'm open for questions.
Thank you very much. Shaibal, do you have any questions for Mr. Navarro?
Three of your comparables, 1, 2, and 3 was 70,014. You suggested it's a good indication of market rent for this market sale, market value of this property.
Which ones?
First 3.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, 2014, 2015. Yeah.
They're part of the sample. That's not what I drew from.
Yeah, but it's will be very good comparables for 2016. Assessed value, maximum 18, correct?
I would not agree with that.
And what are your best comparables for such property?
Obviously, number 8, seeing that it is the only one that I'm identifying as a former gas station. .775 Henderson Highway, VCOM property. There's a building going up on it also now. But again, it didn't have any of the issues with contamination.
But the closest to subject property will be Henderson, correct?
Closest to Henderson? Correct.
It's $18.84 in 2016.
That's a relative term, though.
Yeah, it's comparable.
It's nowhere near. It's nowhere near the subject.
No questions?
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions.
Ms. Knight?
775 Henderson, what was there before?
I'm not sure.
Was it not a gas station?
Was it a gas station? Yeah. Okay. We have a former gas station there.
To live around the corner, that's
Okay.
why I'm asking.
Okay.
It might have been longer than the one that your property's on, but it definitely was a gas station.
Yeah.
Okay.
The property has a couple of influences. The railway also is an
Correct.
influence on it.
Correct.
I haven't really gone into detail and mentioned it, but in terms of the railway corridor policy, it did affect it. As with any new type of construction along railway corridors, there is some effect on the density. So, but just as an influence alone, it's different than Henderson.
Correct. I agree. You had said it was a gas station and
I wasn't even aware because actually there is a building going, or
yes, there's a building going up in there right now. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I have no questions, so is there a need for summary? Okay. Thank you very much, and we will take a short recess now. Thank you. Order?
Whatever you like.
Okay, is that okay? Okay, so the next, I'll call this meeting back to, I'll call this meeting back to order. Okay. Please swear in, Mr. New.
Could you please state your name?
Rocky Newton.
And do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
The next matter on the docket is 1502 St. Mary's Road. Please proceed when you're ready.
File number 19-4584, roll number 0800485150, owner is 3375498 Canada Inn, address is 1502 St. Mary Road. We are valuing the properties at this time of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2018. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018 is $641,000. In fact, the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northeast portion of the city of Winnipeg. Page 6, please open page 6 of my report. We have subject location map and photos. The subject site has an irregular shape of 12,394 square feet. It has access from St. Mary Road and from Real Avenue. On page 3 of my brief, you can find 7 land sale comparables for subject property. Subject property is assessed at $30.91. A map of my comparables on page 4. closest comparables look at Osborne Street and Pembina Highway. First comparable, Pembina Highway. It's a commercial land community. Subject property have commercial corridor. So on Pembina, around 29,000 square feet was sold in 2016 for $67.04. Second comparable on Corridor, just slightly less in size, it's subject property, 10,000 square feet was sold in 2016 for $78.24. Third comparables on Elgin Avenue, 22,000 square feet around, was sold in 2016 for $83.51. Fourth comparable of Nassau was sold in 2016 for $58.87. Fifth comparables Maryland it's very small size, around 4,000 square feet, was sold in 2017 for $56.90. Close to subject property, 380 Osborne Street, 17,000 square feet was sold in January 2018 for $79.99. In my last comparables on Academy was sold in 2014 for $63.15. On page 8, I posted you can find the zoning map. The subject property is a commercial corridor, is restricted and primary for users that provide commercial goods and service to residents of the community. In the areas that are dependent on automobile access, exposure to heavy automobile traffic, but not including regional shopping mall or regional shopping areas. These commercial use are subject to frequent view by public and visitors to Winnipeg, and they should provide an attractive appearance with landscaping, sufficient parking, and controlled traffic movements. On page 9, the subject owner 3375498 Canada Inc. has adjacent properties. The subject property on first photo and on second photo 1504 St. Mary Road Street. On page 10, I presented map of my in shape of sides of my comparables. On page 10 we can see on Pembina and Corridor. It was sold $67.78. On page 11, rectangle shape of Elgin was sold for $83. On Nassau, for rectangle shape of subject of land was sold for $58.57. On page 12, on Maryland was sold $56.90. On Osborne Street for $79.99. And last my comparables on page 13 on Academy Road was sold $63.50. Subject property is assessed at $15.91, which is supported by my sales. So based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion with the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018 is $631,000. In that, the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Neufeld. Do you have questions for the assessor?
Yes, in comparables, page 3, are any of them impacted by usage restrictions?
It's a vacant land sales.
Do you know if any are impacted by usage restrictions?
No.
do they all have access, the comparables?
Yeah, everyone has access.
Thank you, those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No questions.
Nor do I. Mr. Neufeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. This lot used to have a pad site on it, which was demolished quite some time ago, and now forms part of the parking for 1504 St. Mary's. And if you'll note from the pictures that both of us have presented, it has an entrance but no exit. So it's dependent on an exit on the adjoining property. Therefore, on its own, it would have a diminished value. The very simple way of dealing with this that we have done for the past 12, 14 years I've been involved with it is we look at the total value of the entire assessment for 1504 and subtract the value for whatever value has been arrived for 1502. And I can say that every year there's been an agreement on this. So whatever value is decided today will we will request it be deducted from 1504, which hasn't been. I don't have a schedule for it. It's going to be in January, the hearing. On the basis of the fee simple value on its own, it's severely limited, and we haven't worked out a number because no such land sales are in existence, dependent on another property for access. Now, what has changed over time is that the adjacent lot, which the assessor brought up, has a parking requirement. On the commercial side, it requires 80 cars for retail, for food service, 199 cars. So right now it's a mix of 3 food service users and I think 7 commercial users. So the parking requirement by code requires the use of 1502. And the concept of appraisal and assessment is clearly that one must consider the legal restrictions on use of the property. So it's part and parcel of it. But again, we're not going to debate the value of it. We're simply going to say that it's going to be deducted from the other one. And unfortunately, we have to keep the appeal alive until we can reach agreement on it. But they should have been scheduled together. Nothing I can control on it. On its own, as I said, the value is rather negligible. Now, we do not want the roles merged. There is still the potential down the road for, if we do have a pad site. Now, it won't be the same configuration, but if we have a pad site and the opportunity then to provide a separate assessment for that person, because typically it'll be like a user that'll generate a higher tax rate than the mall. And the worry here is that when leases read, all the leases in the mall read you pay a percentage of your based on your square footage of the total taxes. But then if you put a pad site on that generates higher income, it'll generate a higher assessment, and they're going to get a break, and the mall users won't. So that's why we don't want a merger. And the physical reason for not wanting a title merger is even simpler. If there were another user and you wanted to change the boundaries, you could do it on an administrative basis with property and planning. Just get a survey, redraw the boundaries, no dedication fees, just an administration cost. And so because if you create a new lot, you pay a 10% dedication fee. If you change your boundaries, you just pay an administration fee. So I'm trying to make your life easy today. I could suggest, we've had assessments on it that have ranged from $200,000 to $600,000, and so you can pass the buck to the next lady or man handling it, or multiples thereof at the next hearing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
No questions.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions.
Ms. Knight?
What was the last value assessed to?
$631,000. We didn't like it, we filed an appeal, but then we got a recommendation to have it deducted from the other property, so everything worked out fine. Except for the $60 we had to pay.
Sorry, was it 642 you had listed on the front page? 'Cause I believe this one's 630.
Oh, I'm sorry, yeah. Confirmed at 642, that's right.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Just want to make sure it wasn't a typo. Okay. Okay, I have no further questions. Thank you very much. And we'll move on to the next matter, which is 5210 Roblin Boulevard.
And I will continue to make your life easy. Same issue with this property. It's a joint lot. We have had a decision on the main parcel, and I think some of you participated in that. And the value was changed. And I opened my big mouth and I said, if you make the value of the other one $385,000, that we're going to what we're going to do here. So somebody should remind me what I said at the hearing. Anybody remember what I said? We were looking for a total value of $550,000. Okay, sorry, we did come up short on that. We were looking for a total value of $550,000.
So we're going ahead.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
sorry.
my apologies.
Okay. So I'm going to go back to Michelle, and please proceed.
File number 19-4377. Roll number is 0100343040. Address is 5210 Roblin Boulevard. Owner MM Insurance Agency Limited. We are valuing the property at the time of January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2019. This appeal is with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018 is $271,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located in southwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On page 5, subject property location marked and fine. On page 6, photo of subject property. The rectangle shape of subject side, it has 6,791 square feet. Zoning C1 community neighborhood. On page 7, neighborhood C1, its district intent to accommodate small compact commercial uses within and surrounded by residential area. They are attractive and compatible in scale and character to surrounding residential uses to serve the convenience needs of the surrounding neighborhood. On page 8, the owner of subject property, MM Insurance Agency Limited, has adjacent property. Subject property on first picture, and on bottom 5204 Roblin Boulevard. It's office building. On page 3, my comparables. I have 7 comparables. The subject property red dot. Closest comparable to subject property is 1795 Caridon. Its subject property has assets around 7,000 square feet, and subject property assessed at $39.91. My best comparables on Caridon. It's around 10,000 square feet, same zoning, C1 neighborhood, commercial. Sale was happened in 2016 for $78.24. My comparables on Pembina, it has around 29,000 square feet. It's big piece of land that was sold for $77. On St. Mary, around 10,000 square feet was sold for $39.05. 62 Carrier Avenue. It's close to subject size. I was looking specific for subject size. It's 4, 5, and 6. Was sold in 2017 for $39.72. Fifth comparables on St. Mary, around 6,000 square feet was sold in 2017 for $47.54. On Nassau, around 7,000 square feet was sold in 2016 for $59.87. And last comparables on Maryland was sold in 2017, $56.90. So, subject property assets and $39.91, which is supported by my sales. My sales headquarter on page 9. First on Pembina, has access to Pembina, $67 per square foot. On Mary Road, has access on St. Mary Road for close to subject size, a little bit bigger for $39.05. On page 10, my comparables on Caridon. Istanbul shape of wood, sale in 2016 for $78.24. On Carrier Avenue, close to subject size, sold in 2017, $39.72. On page 11, and St. Mary Road, close to subject size, sold for $47.54 in 2017. Nassau, Istanbul shape of wood was sold in 2016 for $59.87. And my last comparables on page 12. On Maryland Street, sold for $56.90. Based on the evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $271,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, any questions for the assessor?
Your comparables, they all are some distance away from the subject. They're all in different neighborhoods, are they not?
Correct. I was searching for small size, commercial size.
None of them are in the same neighborhood, are they?
No.
And your comparables, do you know if they were developed after the sale and what they were developed for?
No.
Number one, developed for a high-rise apartment block. You're aware of that?
Yes.
Could the subject be developed with a high-rise lot?
Subject site has only around 7,000 square feet. My first comparable 28,000 square feet.
Right, but it was also assembled with the property to the north of it, was it not?
Yeah.
And what about zoning setbacks? Do any of them deal with zoning setbacks?
No. Everyone has a commercial zoning, and comparables number 4, 5, and 6, it's residential through to families.
Well, for example, number 1 and number 2, They abut commercial properties? They don't abut residential properties, do they? Same.
Number 2 and 3, yes, it's commercial properties.
Number 805 St. Mary's, completely in commercial zone. You're aware of the setbacks for commercial to residential?
We can open page 7, where I talk about zoning.
All right, no, I'm asking about the setbacks. I see the zoning there. Do you know about the setback, additional setback restrictions? Those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I was just curious, you said that 1795 was your closest comparable. Could you, I'm sorry, explain that to me again, why you felt that that was a
It
good
just,
comparable?
when you look on map, on bottom of non-comparable, it's closest to subject property.
Okay, I don't agree that that's the closest you could have gotten, but okay.
Because Caridon going inside Roblin, so it's commercial, yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
And has the same neighborhood.
And if
C1.
that is your most, your closest comparable, like the one that you like the best out of the group, then how do you justify the 39.91 net rate per square foot?
Because when you look my comparable spread between $39 to $78.
I see.
So because I showed range, it's in our assessment sizes range.
Okay, and so you chose the low end of the range for what reason?
For size.
For size. All right, thank you, that's all my questions.
Thank you, Ms. Knight.
And again, it's model driven, correct?
Hmm?
It's model driven.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay, I have no questions.
Sorry, just a follow-up question. Did the model select the comparables, or did you select them?
I see.
Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So, please proceed with your presentation.
The subject property is part of the lot next door at 5204 Relvin Boulevard. They were bought and sold together in 2012 for $400,000. It forms part of that economic unit. The property next door is a converted house in use as an insurance office. And the problems with this particular land are the details on the zoning issue is on page 8 in the notes, bottom of the page, note B, where the side or rear lot line in a commercial or institutional zoning abuts the side or rear lot line of an R1 or R2 zoning district, a yard of 10 feet must be provided. Now, a typical setback on commercial is still allows you to use it for parking. You can't build your building. Now, the additional setbacks abutting residential are landscaping. So, in fact, you lose parking, you lose everything in it. And so that is the development setback on it. What it does is it impacts the subject, we didn't provide you the measurements, but thankfully the assessor did. The measurements of the site on page 6 of the assessor's report detailed the lot lines that join 17 meters to the south and 39 meters to the north. And my rough calculations are that 39.371 plus 17.118 times 3.27 is 185 running feet with a 10-foot landscape setback. Therefore, that the legal developable use is reduced by 1,847 square feet. So the developable land is non-restricted is about a little under 5,000 square feet. The other issue, of course, are the location, and another issue, and the city maps have stopped showing this feature, but I know this to exist, is that on my page 1, this is from the city mapping site, and it drew the lot lines on the property, and you'll note that the property to the west, which is a residential property, juts out further. When the city replanned this neighborhood, they installed control strips, and that was to reduce access on Robland. So the land to the west does not have the control strip. The subject and the subject's joint property have that control strip, and it's to reduce traffic on a busy thoroughfare. So that's an additional planning restriction, and that's what makes Robland somewhat unique in comparison to other properties, is the city control strips that run up and down it. Now, they're not consistent throughout Robland, and the old maps will show that they're very spotty, but this site is impacted by them. So what we were trying to do to capture this flavor as accurately as possible is to look at other Robland sales, and of course our number 1 sale, which shows on page 2, is a 19,000 square foot lot, slightly larger, sold at $10 a square foot. And then below it is a larger lot, which was part of an assemblage for a multifamily project at the bottom of page 2. And it has a bit of a strange sort of approach, because it shares the approach with 3 other properties. And you see there is the control strip in action, how the properties wanted to have their own access, but they had to have a shared access, because you can see that the lines are set back from the street. That's the purpose of showing this sale. It's a larger sale, it's a different highest and best use, but it is very, very close by the subject. There are a few other ones that we had looked at, but by and large, those are the best ones, and the ones that we wanted to focus on. They are one's at $10, the other's at $13. And when we did this workup, we didn't have the decision on the other property. As we had promised, that decision came in at $385, and we had said that $550 in total was fair, and that shows a considerable increase from the $400,000 sale. So we're just amending our request to $165,000 on the basis of we offered it before, and we're sticking with our word. Even though we think that this lot is undevelopable, and the only potential user for it is going to be an adjacent property. Once that setbacks and the access restrictions are in place, you're left with a very skinny lot on Robland. Thank you. That's my presentation.
Thank you very much. Ms. Schlegel, do you have any questions for Mr. Neufeld?
Yes. Your comparable number 1 on 198 Robland. What is was before this lot?
What? Yeah. I think that was the service station.
Vehicle related, yeah?
Pardon me?
Okay. It has some contamination.
Well,
Soil contamination.
that's quite possible. I'm sure it was registered. But it's now back in use as a service station, so I believe, and so redeveloped, one was sold and redeveloped.
Your comparable number 2 on Robland, it's a residential single family.
No, multifamily, RMFS.
Residential multifamily.
So generally, the highest and best use of multifamily is going to exceed C1 land at any given time, simply because that's what's in demand in our city.
And size of this property around 182,000 square feet. It's good comparables for our site, around 7,000 square feet.
Well, the issue with it isn't so much the size, it's the assemblage and the impact on the price. Sometimes there are premiums paid to get the assemblage, premiums paid to take the access off somebody else's right of way. So the typical Charleswood infill site has been selling for higher than the surrounding lands because of the difficulties, and there's neighborhood opposition. In this case, because that particular use is surrounded by other multifamily projects, the neighbors don't really have a right to complain, except for the neighbors on the east side. So we would generally look at those as probably being higher than a typical price. But the other thing to point out is the equivalency on this. There's an equivalency chart of RMFS to multifamily. C1 is the equivalency is RMFS, and that's shown on page 8 in the second box from the bottom. Equivalency means that you can build RMFS on C1.
Your comparables number 321 by Rich. What do you know about your comparables? What is right now?
Oh, right. This is part of the Pembina Highway development of Windsor Plywood. And Bay Ridge at this point is a right-of-way. It's not a legal street. So it's considered Pembina Highway rearage land.
It is industrial use and no sewer, no water, correct?
You tell that to the city planner because they're telling me it isn't. I was representing the property owner in closing the Bay Ridge, and they claim that it is fully serviced and zoned and for RMFS. So I made the same assertion you did, and the planner denied it.
Your four comparables, 45 Carbora, Morals, 200,000 square feet agricultural land. It's not very good comparable for commercial land in Roblin, correct?
No, that's incorrect. I'm not going to rely heavily on these. Cabro and Bison are in Section B of Waverly West. And this section, when Waverly West was planned, 2003, 4, and enacted into law 2008, Precinct B, or no, Precinct, it's Section B, was going to be the last one developed because there were too many private owners. The other owners were Ladco and Manitoba Housing. And their projections on time were very poorly done because it's being developed right now, and the land purchases were being done starting about 3 years ago. Most of the properties there are going to end up being institutional. And the development fees, $52 million has been already paid for the development of these lands. So the only things that are lacking are the water and sewer hookups. Frank Mazer, the engineer, gave us a quote on the adjacent property of $25,000 an acre, and there's the land that's for sanitary, and then land drainage system is going to be another $14,000 an acre. So those are the charges at the time. Now, since that time, the impact fees have come on, and so we don't know those charges yet. But of course, the impact fees would affect any property except those designated as infill in the inner city. So it's the same all over.
Your comparables 3 to 80 Pembina. Let's look in page 130,000 square feet. It's residential multifamily. Let's open page 5 and photo of these comparables. It's a regular shape of comparables, and it's already damaged by water. You feel it's very good. It's a good.
Oh, 3280 was purchased for, no, it has nothing to do with water whatsoever. It was sold on the basis of unit count. not land area, so it's not the greatest comparable. And it was developed along with a neighboring property. So in order to get a yield, and it's RMFM, which is 800 square feet per unit on the sister parcel, they bought this parcel, and even though part of the land extends into the river, they could use those counts for a higher permissible development on the other one. It's not, I wouldn't rely on that one on the basis of the subject property, because we're not considering it zone land, so probably don't put any weight on that one.
Use last comparables residential. Let's open page 5. It's located in industrial area, correct? No sewer, no water. Because it's close to your comparable.
No, that's another assemblage one for the Windsor plywood
Ridge,
site.
25 by Ridge, they connected.
That's another assemblage for the Windsor plywood, and that's considered rear ridge Pembina.
You didn't provide any good comparable for subject property, correct?
Sorry, maybe you weren't listening. I said number 1 was good, 5198 Robler.
It was vehicle related.
Well, you can make the
If possible,
statement. You can state your
it's
opinion,
happening.
but you can't tell me it's not a good comparable.
Okay, no questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Ms. Anderson?
Is there any thoughts to joining these two properties for best use? The subject and the one?
That's merge of the role. I think that's probably a good idea. Christoph, the owner, we talked to him about it, and I'm always very, very reluctant on joining roles, because they seem to, city wants to join the roles right after you file an appeal, and then you have to appeal twice. So we're interested in joining a role at a time when we can mutually agree on, which would be before the next reassessment cycle, so at least we know what we're dealing with.
And just a comment that control strip seems to run on Pepperloaf as well.
Oh, no, that's a residential setback, so that, the strip in that case is, well, yes, and yes. How should I say this? It's the same concept. So if you live on a normal street in the city.
Boulevard,
Pardon me?
sort of like a boulevard.
Right, and so what they do is they leave room for the sidewalk, whether you have one or not, and then a couple of feet in so that the water,
Fire hydrants.
no, the water shut-off
Oh, okay.
is on the city right away.
Trying to read your mind.
Good luck. But so any new development, they will do the boulevard look, and it's in essence in probably the most famous case you may be aware of is the Port Rouge Auto Body on Pembina Highway, and they built right up to the lot line, and they said, well, we can do it because other people down the street did it, and so the city really, it's the same thing. They want to control access in the main thoroughfares, and they want developments pushed back. So the control strip is in place for that. And because Roblin has had the most, Charleswood has had the most eccentric zoning planning bylaws. Some of them have ditches and big lots and based on old river lots. Love it, great, lived there once, great place. So this is what they're an attempted correction on it. So
Thank you, Rita.
Thank you. Ms. Knight?
No questions.
Nor do I. Is there a need for summary? Nope. Okay. Oh, sorry, wait, I did have a question for you. Forgot already. Sorry, Mr. Neufeld, I just have one question. At one point you had in your brief, 92,000 was what you were asking.
Right.
And I believe it said at one point 165.
Well, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that.
And that was
That's
because
not usually what you
no, we
hear, so I wanted to just clarify.
52-04 was heard last week.
Right.
And I said, we're really 550 between both of them, and however it's split up, that's what we are going to do now. So the order on the other one came in at 385, and we didn't
Oh.
file appeal, we don't plan to file, and we don't know if the city will, but I think what we were looking at in the other site was to say, what if you had a commercial site or even a residential site with this sort of land area and consider it as one, and that was, I had asked for a lower price, but that's fine. 550 was the target.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you. The next property has no municipal address, so it is one with a roll number ending in 9210. Just give everyone a minute to grab that.
File number 19-4451, roll number 03929992210. It's
Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt, but we only made up one brief because we're going to ask for the same value for both. So the assessor has two, because we have 2019 supplemental and 2020 here.
Oh, okay, so, they were split up on the dock.
Yeah.
Have one.
Wait a minute.
They have the same roll number, you mean?
They're split on the docket, 6 and 8.
Right, 6 and 8, okay, so, I guess we'll hear those consecutively then. So which one are we, sorry, which one is this? This is the 2020 then?
We are
Okay.
valuing the property standard January 1st, 2020, based on the economic condition April 1st, 2019. This appeal with respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, 840,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located southwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. On page, let me see pages here. On page 6, you can see subject map, subject location map, in airport. It's located north from Killarney Avenue, on corner. It's on corner, okay. Northwest corner on Pembina Highway and Killarney Avenue. The subject lot has irregular shape of 27,797 square feet. On page number 3, 6 comparables of land sale comparables. Subject property is assessed at $30.22. And my comparables has community C2 community zoning, except my last comparables on Pembina. On page 4 we can see subject property map. It's a road dot, so closest will be both Pembinas. First comparable on Pembina. It's similar in size to subject property, has same zoning, was sold in 2016 for $67.04. My second comparable on Osborne has same zoning, a little bit less, 10,000 less as subject property, 17,000 square feet, was sold in January 2018 for $79.99. It will be inferior to the subject property, superior dual location. My comparable number 3 on Henderson, 21,000 square feet, similar zoning, was sold in 2018 for $39.29. Comparables on Portridge, same zoning, close land area, 23,000 square feet, was sold in 2016 for $33.96. Comparables number 5 on St. Anne Road, 29,000 square feet, same zoning, and also it has rural residential zoning, part of it, was sold 2017 for $35.48. In comparables on Pembina number 6, it's residential, it's a big lot, 152 square, was sold in 2018, $32.79. On page 8, owner of the subject property subject property on my first picture on page 8. On bottom picture it has adjacent properties 28/5 Pembina Highway, and also another adjacent properties. It's belongs owner is the city of Winnipeg. On page 10, look about you can find a zoning map for subject properties. It's a C2 commercial. This district intend to accommodate more intensive commercial sites. They do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. The district intend to include attractive commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facilities needed to support the surrounding neighborhood and broader community. And a photo of my comparables from 11 to 13. So subject property is assessed at $30.22, which is supported by my cell comparables. And so, based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018 is $840,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Mr. Yefield, do you have questions for the assessor?
The comparables, number one. You're aware that this was part of an assemblage of the lot to the north?
Yes, but it was sold in 2016, 28,000 square feet for $67.04. It's very close to subject property, it's my best comparison.
Do you know what the word assemblage means? And I'm not trying to be...
It's several property together, but
Right,
they sell together.
Do you know what the impact is on value? I mean, you're follow the IAAO, and the IAAO suggests or states not to use assemblage sales, does it not?
No.
You're not aware of
I'm not aware.
the concept
No,
of assemblage? No, it's being developed right now as a high-rise apartment, correct, with underground
In
parking?
2019, yeah.
So it was purchased and assembled for that purpose?
All commercial land sale for future developments.
Was it purchased and assembled for the purpose of building a high-rise apartment block for student housing?
For me, it's clean sale, same size of subject property in 2016, and should be adjusted afterward for timing.
Number 2 on Osborne, what was that developed for?
Right, it was sold in 2018 for $79.99.
Do you know what it was developed for?
We're looking about site vacant land sale.
Well, let me just back this up. The concept of highest and best use would indicate that they should match the subject. Now, what is the subject's highest and best use?
Object size base use, they have same zoning, C2 community zoning, on zoning, on page number 10, this zoning allowed to accommodate more intensive commercial size. They do not have a local or neighborhood orientation. The district intends to include attractive commercial, institutional, recreational, and service facilities needed to support the surrounding neighborhoods and broader community. All these facilities can be built on C2 commercial. And my comparables number 2 have same zoning.
Okay, but that's just one part of highest and best use. There's the legal uses on it, there's the financially feasible, the physical ability, possibility, and probability. Now, what is the highest and best use of the subject lands? Did you do a study on that at all?
It's a commercial land for future developments.
Future development. And what's its current use?
Current use right now, I can see parking lot.
Accessory parking lot?
On page number 2, I can current photos.
And at the time, at the reference period and up to today, is the subject property impacted by a legal restriction to use as a parking lot, to your knowledge?
It's usually parking lot for strip mall.
By a legal
reason.
contract, correct?
Correct.
Now, getting back to what I was asking, the highest and best uses, 2525 Temin is not impacted by that. It's actually developed as a high-rise apartment, correct?
Correct.
Number 2, developed for an apartment, correct?
Correct.
865 Henderson, do you know what it was developed for?
No.
But it's being developed at this point in time, is it not?
I present and sell plan sale information, not future
You
development.
don't know, okay. What about?
It's a 2018, and
Okay.
my reference date 2018.
Yeah, that's, if you
And
want to
has
answer
same zoning.
that's not what I'm asking.
And same
I'm
size.
just asking if you know what any of these are being used for, what their highest and best use is.
No
No?
answer.
Okay. You don't know?
Yeah, I think
Fine.
she's given her answer there.
As long as it's clear, thank
Yeah.
you. Now,
It's a no.
do your comparables enjoy access to a public street?
It's on public facility. It's
Do they
access to-
have access to a public street?
No answer.
You don't know? Well, can we assume that they all have street access? They're all in the suburbs, correct?
Correct. Please open page number 2. You can see it has access to Hillbridge Drive Road and has a
It's not the answer.
Pedestrian
It's not
walk.
the question. I'm asking about the comparables. They're in the suburbs, they're meeting current zoning, which means they have to provide parking. Can we assume that they all have legal access?
everyone has legal access.
Physical access at this point, legal physical access?
Yes.
Okay.
Same with Saki property.
Oh, and where is that access?
You can open page 11.
Sure, just show us where that access is. Where?
Everything has access.
Where is the access?
Okay, let's look on page 11. On Pembina Highway, it has access to Pembina Highway. What's your
Page.
question?
Sorry. Page 11 is your comparable?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, they have access to them, and I've seen it, sure. I'm asking about the subject now. Where is its access?
Now let's open page number 2.
Okay.
It's airport. It has access to Cambridge Drive
Where would that access be?
and has pedestrian walk.
You don't mind showing us on the on the picture where you think access is?
For adjacent property.
From the adjacent property?
Yes.
Okay. So it does not have access off a road, does it?
No.
Have you considered the rail setback on the property?
Yes, that means my comparable showed range between $32 to $79. We assess only $13.22.
For the rail? Proximity to the rail?
It's less than my comparables.
Now, which one of your comparables are impacted by proximity to an active rail line?
Okay, my comparables number 1. You can see land influence. It's heavy traffic and rail line.
Okay, and any of the others?
It's very close to the subject properties.
Any of the others have a rail?
Justice.
Okay. And comparable number 1792 Pembina. Was that a redevelopment?
I showed a big land, 132,000 square feet, residential multi-families, very close to subject property. What is sale for? For $32.79. But commercial C2 has more possibilities compared to residential multi-family.
Was this land that was redeveloped?
This land was sold in March 2018.
Those are my questions.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson?
No questions.
Ms. Knight? Nor do I. Mr. Neufeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Okay, the land is owned by the city of Winnipeg and leased to my client. The client owns 2835 Pembina, which is a strip mall in front of it. The lease is shown on page 2, and the rates are set there, so it's renewed in 2015 for a 5-year term. And there are, at the end of the 5-year term, I imagine it's going to be renegotiated. So the numbers here are $15 per stall. That's the city's rent on it. And there are 77 stalls, so the rent is $14,137 for the use of the land, restricted by lease and usage. The rail being immediately to the west, there's also setbacks from the rail. Now, the property immediately north, you can see was recently developed, and you can see how far that setback is from rail just by following the line. You can draw down and you can see that the setback goes into the subject land by another 100 feet. So that land is not usable for development, but parking is allowed on it. There is no access on the land at all. The little shaded area on Kirkbridge is a bus stop. There will be no access granted because there's 2 restrictions on it. One is proximity to a rail line, and the other is proximity to the existing access to the east. And the bus stop is in the way as well. So we have looked at this site in prior years and tried to get an answer from property and planning about where an access could be granted. And they, at that point, had responded that they couldn't have an access. The only access is from the neighboring property who rent it as an accessory parking lot. So it's restricted by legal and physical reasons from any other usage other than what it is. It cannot compare to other developable lands. And because the landlord happens to be the party who controls planning in our city, I think that carries a lot of weight as to what those other uses could be. The assessment from 2018, and here's where we have a bit of an issue. This came out as a supplemental in 2018, and we're going to hear the 2019, I guess, shortly. The city said that there's going to be no carry forward, but they had neglected to send the 2019 assessment to the owner. And so, the carry forward is an interesting thing, and it is going to court. It went to court on Friday at Court of Queen's Bench. And what it's all about is if the complaint in this case is Qualico, and they said that we got a 2018 supplemental and a 19 supplemental, we should be able to appeal the 18 supplemental because nothing's different in the whole issue. And much like a reassessment here, if you appeal 2020 now, 2021 carries forward as well. But the city has been setting these notices separately, requiring 2 appeals. So they said, well, no, you need an 18 appeal and a 19 appeal, and we had only filed for 18. However, they also failed to send it out, which was humorous. So that's why 19 is back on the table. The assessment in 2018 is $231,000. One in 2019 is, as the assessor states, $806,000. And then the 2021, which hopefully we're going to get in as being 2020 and 21, is $840,000. So we're just coming back here again to have because they failed to serve, we did manage to get our own little carry forward. And I have the board order here. I have one, sorry, I only have 2 copies. I can enter that into the evidence. And this was the 18 decision. Sorry, 17 supplemental. Wait, oh, sorry. Did I see that again? I get confused here. This is 18 sub. Sorry, these are my only copies. This is 17 and 18 supplementals, both at $231,000. So we would want to match the 18 here, and I need those back. Because
we'll make a copy then.
I can take a picture with my phone and email it for your record. How's that?
Sure.
Because the camera's off. No, it's not. She said it's not recording.
It is Richard's.
Yeah.
And I will be posted.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
We'll have to make a copy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
somehow, or I can just do it.
Yeah, you know what, it's a small doc.
Do you want me to pass it around right now, or do you want to take a recess?
You know what, we'll finish this and then we'll make copies. Yeah.
But do you want to look at it now, or?
Yeah, we'll just take a quick look now.
Because brand new hearing. Doesn't matter what happened.
No, I know, but he can still submit it in evidence, that's okay.
No any submission. I heard this information.
Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion, and we'll let the board decide.
It's regarding the same properties.
We had 2 separate cases. It was first case. Doesn't matter.
It's stated,
Every appeal, brand new. Mother.
it's stated here in our presentation, 231,000, so it's out there. It has not been appealed. Oh, and yes, I have the documentation how they failed to serve 19 here. It's kind of funny.
Okay, well, we'll deal with 19.
No, it's not even in evidence, but we did do a search, and available documents 2019 was 0, so they neglected to serve one. But that's why we're here on this. But it's been approved already for appeal.
Okay. I guess, we'll give those back to you right now. And we have the amounts anyway.
So the difference from this year to the previous year is that there was a small change in the rental rate this year on this, and that's why we're at looking for $236,000 this year. It went from $13,860 to $14,137.
that? Oh,
Yes, I'm finished.
Oh, okay. Michelle, do you have questions for
Yes.
Mr.
First, what is your highest and best use for the subject property?
Accessory parking.
Please open page 3. Do you rely on land sale comparables?
No,
So it's not relevant for subject property.
I'm not relying on it in the final analysis. It was presented to show some backup on, some of the properties we were discussing earlier bear some resemblance to it, such as the ones on Bay Ridge as Pembina or Ridge.
No questions?
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions.
Ms. Eng?
No.
Nor do I. Okay, so just to clarify now, we also have the 2019 for the same property. So you submitted this, your evidence to be the same, Mr. Newton? Or similar? Or?
No, actually,
Oh.
well, I guess we haven't submitted anything, and what we should have submitted was this order, which we forgot to, so we'll just rely on the same evidence.
Okay, thank you. And you have different evidence for the 2019?
Yes,
now?
because
Okay.
it's different assessed years.
Okay, so then, perhaps I think everyone needs a short break. So perhaps we'll take a short break then and then proceed with the 2019.
Here we are.
All right, I'm calling this meeting back to order. The next matter on the docket is the same property ending in 9210. However, we will deal with the 2019 assessment for that property. So please
File
proceed.
number 19-49, room number 0309299910. We are valuing the property as it stands on January 1st, 2019, based on economic condition April 1st, 2016. Based on evidence, this appeal is respect to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2016, $806,000, in that the 2019 assessed value should be confirmed. Please open page 3 of my report. There are 5 rent comparables with reference date April 1st, 2016. My first comparables on Pembina was sold in 2016 for $67.04, same size as subject property. My second comparables on Sterling Clients, it's a big piece of land, 136,000 square feet around, with community regional zoning. Was sold in 2015 for $28.72. My third comparables on Kenanston was 87,000 square feet, same community regional zoning, was sold in 2016 for $28.62. Fourth comparables on Caridon, 10,000 square feet was sold in 2014 for $78.24. And my last comparables on Pembina for around 59,000 square feet was sold for $48.75. It was sold in 2012. It's not far from subject property. It should be adjusted upward for time of sale. The subject property is assessed at $29 per square foot, which is supported by sales. On page 11, we can see my sale comparables. On page 11, on Pembina, rectangular shape of around 28,000 square feet for $67. It's very close to subject property. On Sterling Clients, it's regular shape, 35,000 square feet, sale in 2015 for $28.72. By economical scale, its big size should be adjusted upwards and also for time adjustment. On Kensington Boulevard, irregular shape of side was sold in 2016 for $28.62. On Caridon Avenue, rectangular shape of land was sold in 2016 for $78.24. In my last comparables, regular shape of Pembina side was sold for $48.75. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2016 is $806,000. In that, the 2019 assessed value should confirm. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Neufeld, do you have questions for the assessor?
Just the same questions as before. Do all of your sites have access to public street?
Correct.
And your site, I'm just looking at this map, page 4. The one marked Kensington Boulevard, that's not the correct space for that one, is it? That will be your comparable number 3. That's actually right beside 485 Sterling Line to the north?
Correct.
Okay.
But it was commercial land sale in 2016.
Just trying to get location right. And the first one is the same one we discussed earlier, the assemblage sale for the apartments, and the other next two are in Seasons of Fixio, correct? And 1795 Cordon was developed with a strip, retail strip, correct?
I have information about sale 2016 and my effective date 2016.
You didn't check what it's been developed to?
For future developments, yes. Not neighborhood community
Okay.
zoning.
And the last sale, this is the old Montcalm Hotel that was redeveloped for condominiums, correct?
Possible. I don't know. No answer.
Those are my questions, thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson, any questions?
I have no questions, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
Nope.
Nor do I. Mr. Neufeld?
Same as before,
Okay, we'll just carry it forward.
please, and just brief comment at the end.
Okay. Ms. Shavel, do you have any questions about
Yes.
Mr. Neufeld's evidence that he presented for the 2020?
What is highest and best use of subject property?
Accessory parking.
Do you have any cap rate comparables for 2016 assessed years?
In the presentation, sorry,
So you didn't support the 6% of capitalization rate, correct?
no, I didn't. In the last presentation for 2018, we did have, and we were just relying on what the city had put forward for cap rates at that time, which was 6%. So I didn't carry that forward, no.
On page 3, you want sale comparables, you not relied on them, correct?
Well, they're there to show support. The Bay Ridge sales, the two Bay Ridge sales, Pembina Rear Ridge, they show some comparability, and you'll note they were at $472 and $473 a square foot. Both share the same link as the subject in that they're not developable on their own. They are part of an assemblage or accessory use to the parcel on Pembina Highway. They do show a lower value per square foot than the rent being derived, paid to the city would. So concept of highest and best use is you are required to look for the highest and best use as long as it has been proven and the parking was proven. So that's why we went with parking.
So you're not rely on your
No,
comparables?
it's support. It's a concept of exploring the highest and best use. And in the final analysis, when you do an appraisal, you do a reconciliation and you say, what is my highest and best use? The parking is just been established as the highest and best use because it's actually generating income, which is rare in the suburbs because you rarely see paid parking of this sort. But because it's on the site, we can then rely on it.
Subject size is commercial lands, and your agriculture zoning multi-use, residential multi-use, it's good, not good comparable to subject property, it's correct?
When we select our comparables, we look at when a subject, and you were talking about the agricultural ones, the zoning use had been approved already to, in that area, it was a mix of E&I, which is institutional educational, and C2, and RMF-M, that was the general zoning in the area. And it was known that it was going to be approved, so it was agricultural at the time of sale, but again, a prudent purchaser would know where it was going.
No question.
Thank you. Ms. Anderson?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No.
Nor do I. Summer?
Yes, again, going back to the highest and best use, it is what it is. It's impacted by restrictions in use, legal and physical restrictions. It's owned by the city, it's leased by the city, it's encumbered by a lease, and it has no access. And without going through the neighbor's property, who are the people renting it, there's a setback from rail lines of 200 feet to consider, and even if you set back, do you want to be beside a rail line? That's another issue. Until those issues are changed. Now, the concept here is you do not appraise the dirt, you appraise the rights. We have impacted rights. The only proven use is parking. It has been the only proven use on this site for as long as I can remember, and I've lived in many, many places, but I know that 50 odd years ago when I lived in St. Norbert, it was vacant then, and it's still vacant now. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, the next matter is 3021 Pembina Highway.
File number 19-4509, rule number 0306026000, owner 1001929, Manitoba LT. We are valuing the property as it stands of January 1st, 2020, based on economic condition April 1st, 2018. This appeal with respect to the amount of assessed value, classification of property, and liability to taxation. Based on evidence in this report, in this assessor opinion, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $2,657,000, in that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. I will be different value of subject property and classification liability. It's burden of proof of applicant. The subject site is located in southwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. Please open page 6. It's located west from Pembina Highway. Irregular shape of subject property has 5,459 square feet. And the property as it stands on January 1st, 2020, it's I found out permit for construction of multi-family dwelling with commercial units in 2019. On page 3, 5 comparables, one sale comparable for subject property. The subject property is assessed at $12.93. My 5 comparables location on page 4. Subject property on this map, red dot. So it's located on Pembina, closest to Pembina in Tenenston. First comparables 2525 Pembina Highway, 28,000 square feet, was sold 2016 for $67.04. Number 2 on Portage Avenue, 23,000 square feet, C2 community, was sold in 2016 for $43.96. On Sterling Alliance Parkway, was sold in 2015, 1,035 square feet for $28.72. On Tenenston, C4 zoning, commercial regional, with size less than subject property, 87,000 square feet, was sold in 2016 for $28.62. My comparables in Pembina, close to subject property, was sold in size 152,000 square feet, was sold in March 2018 for $32.79. On page 8, zoning map. It's already has a commercial corridor. No, it's already. Zoning showed already residential multifamily. In our system, it still showed as commercial corridor. This district intend primary for use to provide commercial goods and service to residents of the community in areas that depend on automobile access, exposed to heavy automobile traffic, but not including regional shopping mall or regional shopping area. These commercial uses are subject to frequent view by public and visitors to the city of Winnipeg, and they should provide an attractive appearance with landscaping, sufficient parking, and controlling traffic movement. I showed adjacent property belong to another, it's a vehicle-related property, belong to 6072-616 Manitoba Limited, it's 309 Pembina Highway. This property was auto dealership demolished in 2010. On page 10, start with my comparables, land sale comparables. So what we know already on Pembina Highway for $67.04. My comparables on Portridge, 23,000 square feet for $43.96. On Pembina Highway, close to subject property, a little bit less, a subject property site was sale in 2018 for $32.79. My comparables on page 11 or Sterling Line Parkway, little bit less, a subject property, 135,000 was sale in 2015 for $28.72. My comparables on Kennelston, irregular shape of land, was sale in 2016 for $28.62. And property, subject property assessed at $12.93, much less my comparables. It's supported by my sales. Based on evidence in his report and his assessor opinions, that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $2,657,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you very much. Mr. Neufeld, do you have any questions for the assessor?
Yes, on page 2, there's a sale listed which exceeds the reference date. Now, you're very quick to order the rest of us to disregard it. Why do you think it's okay to insert it in your own document?
What are you about? It's sale, current sale in 2018.
What's the date?
July.
June 21st, 2018?
Mm-hmm.
And what's the reference date?
2018.
What month and date?
April 1st, 2018.
So this exceeds it, correct?
Correct.
So how come you haven't pulled this out? Why is it here?
Because our property stands of April 1st, January 1st, 2020, and I also mentioned that it exists permit for construction of multi-family dwelling. There's commercial units
So
already.
you're suggesting that it's okay for you to put in post-reference sales, but you're the first person to complain about somebody else putting in anything post-reference, aren't you? I just find that the whole interaction very troubling, because especially the way you order us and tell us that you can't do it. But that doesn't apply for you, does it? I'll move on. What's the zoning on the property?
And plus, I not rely on this sale.
What is the zoning on the property?
C3 Caridon. Let's
No
open
questions, thank you.
page.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson?
I have no questions.
Ms. Knight?
No questions.
Okay, Mr. Neufeld? I have no questions, so either. So Mr. Neufeld, before we start with your evidence, you have applied for appealing liability, taxation, amount of assessed value, and classification
That's correct.
property. Okay, so you're going to be going ahead on all three
Yes,
points?
I am. And I'm
Okay.
going to give you some rebuttal information based on a question I asked the assessor and information in this document.
Okay.
First, I would like to point out that the material, page 2, should be stricken from it, but
Yes.
on the other hand...
It is post-reference,
And
so.
put it prejudicial. And before we get in with my rebuttal, I'll just point out that it is a $1 sale. The vendor
Yes.
is Ashok Dalari. The purchaser is a group led by Ashok Dalari.
We disregard it anyway as
Yeah,
post-reference.
here's my rebuttal information.
Object is brand new information.
Yeah. Please show it to the assessor first.
It's introduction of brand new information and not acceptable.
There we go, ordering people around again.
Okay, let's,
We have 2 weeks.
No, I
Exchange period.
I just find that this behavior is not respectful.
I have rebuttal, I have
Respect is
your
mutual.
evidence, period. And I have time to look into it. And I will ask you for this evidence.
okay, have you reviewed his rebuttal
No,
to see
it's
if
brand new
you're not even going to
information.
look at it?
I will check.
Okay,
You have 2 weeks exchange period. It's rule of board of revision.
okay, we're going to take a short recess. Okay, I'm calling this meeting back to order. I am going to review a copy of the rebuttal evidence and determine if in fact it is rebuttal or new evidence. So if I may have a copy, please.
Certainly, and just, there are two documents in here. The first is one double-sided page and City Winnipeg bylaw, and the second is the report that was submitted for this bylaw.
Okay.
So that even though it has a picture, in fact, that's part of the city bylaw report.
Okay, let me take a look, thank you. Okay, and what part of the assessor's brief are these bylaws rebutting precisely?
Page 1, zoning C3.
Okay.
Page 8, C3.
Okay, I will allow it. Thank you.
More.
Thank you. And Mr. Neufeld, please proceed.
Thank you. The first page is two-page. This was the approval of the zoning bylaw to change the subject plan to RMU, excuse me, which is residential multi-purpose. And the next 42 pages are the submissions that were made at the various committees, EPC, and the owner's application for this submission to the Planning Department, February 13th, 2018, reading on page 15, and advertisement for the site, February 13, 2018. Now, I'm not the least bit concerned about issues concerning post-reference, because this is not a market matter, this is a physical issue. This is as of the date of the appeal. Regardless, it meets both of those tests. So the document presented, Riel Committee heard this January 4th, 2018, that's on page 35. So finally, Council passed this June 21st, 2018. Coincidentally, or not coincidentally, that is the sale date, or the transfer date, as we should say. The land is not C3, it's RMU.
Thank you.
That's it, that's
Oh.
all, it's RMU.
Okay, I didn't know there was anything else with.
No, I think, in terms of new material, I know we can rebut, and I told you what we're rebutting, the zoning is wrong. This is C3. Now, there's a lot more information in here in regard to the restrictions placed on it and the implications on land value, the payment of a dedication fee, et cetera, et cetera. But today, we can only say it is RMU zoned, and the city has failed to keep up with the planning department.
Okay, and amount of assessed value?
We're content with not challenging the assessed value. We're not overly concerned about it. We are just requesting a change to residential zoning, which I believe is class 20. Am I right on that, 20?
It's currently at 60T. I think residential is, what, 20T or 40T? Depending on...
40 is institutional, 20 I thought was apartments, 10 are houses, 11 are farmhouses, 12 are farmhouses.
I thought the 10, 20, and 40 is the size of the units.
No, 40 is, I thought institutional.
Oh, maybe, I guess it would be like apartments would be 40.
Group care,
Yeah,
I think.
sorry.
And then 80 is condo. I don't know.
I think it's 80.
Residential.
And he said he wants, he's okay with that, so long as this gets changed.
So then, and you are okay with assessed value? Or sorry, you're not challenging the assessed value.
We'll seek to have it confirmed.
Okay, Ms. Scheibel, do you have questions for Mr. Neufeld?
No question for new evidence.
Ms. Anderson?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No questions.
Okay, nor do I. So then, we can move on to the next matter, which is...
Well, but just briefly, just the evidence that I submitted,
Right.
I was just going to point out that we included the zoning tables, pages 11 through 16, and you can note that the RMU does not permit the uses that are permitted in C3. And most of those are listed on page 13. You'll note that RMU doesn't allow them. Thank you.
Thank you. The next property is number 2, Skirfield Boulevard.
File number 19-2235. Roll number 03091661400. Address at 2nd to Scarfield Boulevard. Owner is Shaw Communication Inc. We are valuing the property as it stands of January 1st, 2020, based on academic condition April 1st, 2018. This appeal is kept to the amount of the assessed value only. Based on evidence in this report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $1,757,000. In that, the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. The subject property is located northwest portion of the city of Winnipeg. Page 6 of my brief, you can see a subject location map, subject site. The subject site has an irregular shape of 157,131 square feet. It has manufacturing light zoning. And page 8, let's look on manufacturing light zoning description. This district intends to provide for light manufacturing, processing, service, storage, and wholesale and distribution operation with all operations contained within an enclosed building with some limited outside storage. Show communication in owner of subject property has adjacent property on page 9. First photo of subject property, vacant land, and on bottom another. It's 20 Scarface Boulevard, it's office building. On page 3, I have presented 7 land sale comparables for the subject property. Subject property has zoning manufacturing, so my comparables manufacturing and last 3 multifamily and last commercial. Just look for area. On page 4, map of all my land sale comparables. Red dot, it's our subject properties. So let's look on my comparables. First comparables on Waverly. It's a little bit bigger. That subject property is around 208,000 square feet. Manufacturing to general was sold in 2016 for $11.79. My second comparables, Fools Boulevard, double size of subject property, also manufacturing general, was sold in 2017 for $15.87. My third comparables on King Edward Street, manufacturing also around 27,000 square feet, was sold in 2017 for $37.19. My fourth comparable, St. James, around 31,000 square feet, also manufacturing zoning, was sold in 2017 for $13.33. Fifth comparable, Stain Bailey Drive. It was 2018 square feet, multi-residential, was sold for $14.36. Park East Drive on my 6 comparables, around 49,000 square feet, multi-residential also, sold in 2017 for $21.33. My last comparables on Kennelston Boulevard, it's regional commercial, was sold in 2016 for $28.62. Subject property is assessed at $11.18, which is supported by sales comparables. On page 10 through 13, you can see my land sale comparables. On Waverly Street, it's regular shape, around 200,000 square feet, was sold for $11.79 in 2016. It should be adjustment for time adjustment. On Fools Boulevard, It's around 378,000 square feet. Was sold in 2017 for $15.87. On King Edward, on page 11, it's around 27,000 square feet, sold in 2017 for $37.90. On St. James, around 31,000 square feet, was sold in 2017 for $13.53. On page 12, Stan Bailey Drive, irregular shape of 218,000 square feet, was sold in 2016 for $14.56. On Park East Drive, it was sold in 2017 for $21.33. And Kennington Boulevard on page 13, sale for $28.62. So subject property assessment $11.80. It's fair. Based on evidence in his report, it is assessor opinion that the market value of subject property as of April 1st, 2018, $1,757,000, and that the 2020 assessed value should be confirmed. Thank you. Any questions?
Thank you. Mr. Newfeld, do you have questions for the assessor?
Yes. The comparables that you have listed, do you know what they were developed for?
No. It's not relevant for months of comparables.
Do you know what their highest and best use was?
It's developed according to zoning, and our subject land has manufacturing zoning, so for my comparables first, it's manufacturing zoning.
Okay, so what's the highest and best use of the subject?
Vacant manufacturing land.
That's your opinion?
Yes, it's my opinion.
Some of these that you have listed have been developed for retail and multifamily, correct?
For multifamily, my comparables 5, 6. It's zoning allowed, developed for multifamilies, yes.
Well, they're in RMFM, and
yes,
you
it's
also,
my highest at our system.
so that would indicate future development for multifamily.
Yeah, because it's zoning permit for it. It's very close to subject property. I tried to show market one. So
Is multifamily permitted in M1?
no.
And
That's why it's assessment less than $21.54 in my comparable number 6.
so you're suggesting that you can take land with a different zoning and different highest and best use and just consider a qualitative adjustment to it?
My best comparables 1, 2, 3, 4 all form manufacturing zoning. My last comparable 5, 6, and 7 just sold area because it's close to subject property. What different zoning sell for? Manufacturing it's less sell compared to the multifamily. It's correct.
Those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Anderson, do you have any questions?
I have no questions.
Ms. Knight?
No, thank you.
Nor do I. Mr. Newfeld, please proceed with your presentation.
Thank you. As with many of the properties today, this one is linked with the property next door. This is the lot next to Shaw. And on my page, first page, the main Shaw building is located at 20 Skirfield. They also have another building which is just out of the picture on the west side, which is 36 Skirfield. So in these facilities, they run a variety of operations, including these are the places where the Shaw will dispatch people to come to your house to put in PVRs, or they'll repair lines. You pay your bills there. There's a studio inside there. There's a call center. There's what's called a head end, which is the termination point for the main fiber optic, which then gets spread to smaller fiber optics that go to distribution centers in residential neighborhoods. There's a dish farm on there, that's the circular items on the property next door, and this is basically obsolete because nobody uses satellite dishes anymore, but they are used for utility and backup purposes. So the land at 2 Scurfield used to be Melrose Coffee, and when Kraft bought Melrose, they closed down operations and started roasting beans elsewhere, and had it surplus, so Shaw bought it because it was next door and they needed parking badly. They also bought the rail spur behind them. You can see that grassed area. When that became available in 1999, they needed all this land for their operations. And so today they, on the 3 sites combined, they have approximately 100,000 square feet of building, and the land area is approximately 11, a little under 12 acres in total. And all of it is for their use and no other use. So it is accessory parking for their site, which they can't operate without it. As with the other sites, we have linked these together in terms of our approach to the assessment department. To tell you the truth, this one has been a bit more difficult than the others because it has not automatically been accepted. We do require a few levels of appeal to see our way through on this. Last year's assessment was just based on $463 a square foot for a reasonable land value. And that was what the board decided after hearing the accessory parking issues. So the value of $1 is basically, we take that in consideration for the property next door as to, which hasn't yet been appealed this year, or hit the appeals this year. It's coming up. A nominal value, which would probably be unacceptable right now, is on page 7. We have the 2 rearage sales off Pembina Highway at $472 and $473 a square foot. We know that those were put in use for the Windsor plywood, and applying that to it could also produce a value of $743,229, rounded to $743,000. And that was just another look at it, but regardless of what the value is, it's linked with the other site. Now, we're not, again, joining the rolls is something that we would, again, be open to, provided the timing was at a point where we weren't in the middle of the appeal process. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Ms. Shavel, do you have questions?
Yes, please. Page 7, evidence. Do you rely on your comparables, land sale comparables in this chart?
I mentioned the 2 on Bay Ridge. I already said that, $473 a square foot.
Agricultural land.
No, they're Pembina rearage lands, and the zoning that's indicated is RMFS, but as you can see that they are actually occupied by Windsor plywood.
No questions.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Anderson?
No questions, thank you.
Ms. Knight?
No questions.
Nor do I. Any need for summary? Thank you very much. I will now close the hearing. Thank you and good evening.